How much do you have to spend on food every month to look like this?
If I'm cooking all my own meals, like $150 a day. Let's just say $1,000 a week. $1,000 a week.
A common question when it comes to people that are looking to get into building muscle and overall get into the fitness lifestyle is how costly can they get when it comes to the diet? And personally, I always say it depends on various things such as where you live, the type of foods you like to eat, and also how you tend to spend your money in general. Because oftentimes you'll find that people will be willing to spend ridiculous amounts of money when it comes to clothes, their phone, their car, their trainers, their haircuts, whatever it is, they'll spend loads of money on. But when it comes to the actual food that they eat on a daily basis, they will skinflint. But that'll be a story for another day. I don't want to go too much on a tangent. But when it comes to actually, is the bodybuilding lifestyle expensive when it comes to food? We have like a pro top level bodybuilder, which is Sadik. I'm not even going to try and pronounce his last name. But he's actually a cool dude. I've actually met him at one of the expos when he came to England. But in general, seems like a very solid guy. However, in this video, he goes over his daily diet and how much it costs him per month when it comes to his bodybuilding food shop. He doesn't mention any of the steroidy stuff, but let's just watch his review.
How much do you have to spend on food every month to look like this?
If I'm cooking all my own meals, like $150 a day. Let's just say $1,000 a week. $4,000 just in food.
Wait, so 150 a day. What?
Yeah.
Break down those meals.
10 eggs in the morning, 10 eggs at night. In between 2 chicken meals, and then a white fish meal, and then a steak meal. And then potatoes, rice, oatmeal. So you can imagine the protein farts in my house are nasty, dude.
Well, first off, there's a reason why I'm wearing my blue cap today. Because that was a big lie. Because I don't believe, even at the very high end of bodybuilding, I don't believe his elite level, you'd be spending that much on food anyway. Even with like supplements, as in like, even when you start including the special supplements, I don't even think it'll get to that price range. At the very, very high end, if he purposely spends the most expensive versions of all those items, I'm thinking 40, maybe 50 pounds per day. So his 150 pounds mark that he said is just insane. You know what? Let's take it one step further. Let's go on ChatGPT and run through what he just said and what it believes would be the equivalent amount. So, so let's see. What did he say? I'm going to play it again.
Rice, oatmeal.
Remember he said 20 eggs.
Parts in my house are nasty, dude.
So to speed this up, I'm going to listen to everything he said and basically put it in ChatGPT, and roughly I'm going to purposely overestimate everything and ask ChatGPT how much he thinks it will cost in like UK and in America per day to have this sort of diet. I'm going to, as I said, overestimate and see if we get anywhere near the $150, which is like roughly what, 135, 140 pounds. All right, so this is the question I'm about to ask ChatGPT. I have no clue what figure is going to come. My guess amount was, for the original amount he mentioned in the video, was around 40, maybe 45 pounds, 50 pounds max, which is roughly around $60. But anyways, what I'm asking ChatGPT is, how much would the following cost for a bodybuilder eating this per day? 20 large eggs, 2 doses of 400 grams of chicken breast, 2 cod fillets, 2 ribeye steaks. Each of these protein meals, not including the eggs, are with large helpings of rice and potatoes, and also a large helping of oatmeal. So let's see what it comes up to. Yo, it came up to even cheaper. For the American, it came up to roughly around $40. For England, it comes up to around 30 pounds. And that's fairly decent. That's what I knew it wouldn't be anywhere higher than what I mentioned. So as you can see, the guy was basically chatting shit. Like, it's one of those situations where it's almost like, remember when people used to ask celebrities, what was your workout routine? And they would always say something really insane just to seem impressive. I think that's what Sadik was doing here. He just kind of pulled a number out of the air and just started saying all sorts just to make it sound really like, you know, like, oh shit, he spends that much to get attention. I don't think he's eating anywhere near that. But the reason why I've actually brought this up simply is not just to, like, you know, call this guy a liar. It's simply because I thought it'd be interesting for those of you that are watching to kind of share, how much does bodybuilding cost you? Like, do you feel like it's much more expensive? And do you struggle with it a lot? Or do you find you've managed to make it work? So in the efforts to help other people, and maybe even myself, please comment down below some helpful tips and tricks. And on average, how much do you think bodybuilding costs you? Let's say per week rather than per day. Because there's certain things like the potatoes, the rice, and chicken, if you buy in bulk, it's going to stretch over a week. So on average, how much do you think bodybuilding costs you per week? I would say myself, being completely honest, I'm not thoroughly sure. Because since, like, obviously my girlfriend lives there and I have the baby, I can't even keep track of the exact bills. All I know is that our food shops, including baby stuff and other things outside of bodybuilding, comes up to roughly around 140, 150 pounds sometimes. So I can't really think how much of that is just towards my portion of food because I don't separate my stuff from my girls. But please, if you know yours, please comment down below. I'm very interested. But costings aside, also remember, especially if you're a newbie watching this, trying to get an insight into how much it's going to cost you, remember, you can always do things on a budget. Like, for example, when I first started, I ate way differently to what I do now. Whereas now, I personally pay more for convenience. For example, back in the day, I would never buy any sort of vegetables or any, like, I'm trying to think of any items, like anything sliced or prepared. I would never buy that because it costs more. For example, pineapples. If I wanted a pineapple, I'd buy the fruit and chop it myself. However, I now personally, just to make sure I eat the food, the effort of cutting a pineapple up and taking that 10-15 minutes is technically not a long period of time. However, I know that one little barrier for me doing it means I probably won't do it often. Whereas if I buy sliced pineapples off the shelf, I will eat it as soon as I get home. So these little things across the board when it comes to sliced mushrooms, I personally buy them sliced most of the time because it's just easier for me just to throw them in my scrambled eggs. When it comes to certain meats that I like, I'll buy them in a certain way if possible. For example, I used to buy big boatloads of chicken breast fillets, like 5 kg worth, and I'd bag them all up into sandwich bags, separate them out, put them in the freezer, do that. I currently don't do that anymore because for convenience, I like being able to just buy certain portions already pre-sliced up, not to the point of getting 5 kg anymore, but I'll have like a bit more varied, and then I'll just put them in the freezer like that. However, when I was more on a budget, definitely when I was like a student, I had to make more sacrifices in regards to the types of food I could get. For example, you never saw me eat red meat or salmon or anything like that, because that was way out my price range. I stuck to the basics of usually chicken drumsticks, and I'll take the skin off myself. There's various little habits you can do or little tricks you can do to get in a high protein diet without spending crazy amounts. Obviously, I also took advantage of getting whey protein because it's cheaper than actual food. There's also the fact that you can buy frozen meats as well. It's not as good as fresh, but it's still better than nothing. And various tips and tricks. So please, people, comment down below what you would do and give as much tips as you can for others as well. But the main thing I want you guys to remember is that you don't need to be spending $4,000 per month, even if you're someone that's going to the Olympia. But anyways, I just wanted to make that video because I thought it was interesting when I saw that clip that people were lying about how much they spend on bodybuilding foods. Like, it's a little bit loserish. You know what I mean? It kind of makes you lose respect from, like, why would you lie about this? Of all the things to lie about, like, what happens when they just lied about being natural? That was normal. Not saying it's good, but that was normal. Now they're even lying about the foods they eat per week to brag. But anyways, let me know your thoughts down below and be sure to click one of these videos here because YouTube believes that you're going to love them.